Recording. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology meeting for February 11th, 2025. Before we start the meeting, we're going to show a short video which will explain procedures for this meeting and how members of the public can interact with the board members.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Okay, aloha everyone. So, oh my gosh, internet access do I need to do this again? I'm sorry, Carrie.
Yes, I'm sorry. We have to read that every time. Thank you.
To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You will be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You will also be asked for an email address. You can fill in the field with an entry in an email format, example, name@email.com. Your microphone will be automatically muted when the chairperson asks for public testimony. You may click the raised hand button found on your Zoom screen to indicate that you wish to testify about the agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chairperson, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you're finished speaking. For phone access, if you cannot get internet access, you may get audio only access by calling the Zoom phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you are admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering asterisk and then the number 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering asterisk and then the number 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chairperson, you may unmute yourself by pressing asterisk, then number 6 on your phone. The voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter asterisk and then the number 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you will be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. If connection to the meeting is lost for more than 30 minutes, the meeting will be continued on a specified date and time. This information will be provided on the board's website. I will now take roll call. Members, when I call your name, please respond with present or here. And if you're joining us remotely, indicate if anyone is at your location. Les Murata, Vice Chair.
Present, and no one is here with me.
Michael Basta Jr.,
Present and alone.
Ashley Cornelio,
Present and alone.
and I, Rainette Hall, am present and alone. I'm calling meeting to order at the time of 10:09 p.m. Okay, so is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 2?
Thank you, Chair. This is Johnny. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Are there any corrections or amendments to open session or executive sessions for minutes of January 7th, 2025? I don't have any. Does anybody know? Okay, so I'm motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a
Aye.
second?
Les Murata second.
Okay. Moving on to applications, is there
Chair,
anyone?
Chair.
Oh, I got,
I'm
I'm sorry.
you have to vote.
We have to vote. Everyone in favor? Aye, or yes?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Sorry, I have cold fog in my brain right now. Okay, so motion is approved. Now I can move on to applications?
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 3?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay, may I have a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statutes 92-5A1 and 92-5A4 to consider and evaluate personal information relating to individuals applying for professional or vocational license cited in section 26-9 or both, and to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities.
I move that we go into executive session.
Second,
I second it, Michael Basta.
okay, everyone vote. Yay or,
Yay.
Yay.
okay.
All right, everyone, hang tight. We'll move you into a private room.
Is everyone back? There's us.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chair, would you like to motion regarding agenda item 3?
Leslie, you are
Leslie, you're muted.
Okay. I move that the board approve the application for Catherine Reginaldo for nail technician apprenticeship, for Brittany Murray for esthetician exam pending additional information, for Heidi Wasner esthetician exam, for Jeremy Baruga for barber license exam. And also, we approve the ratification list. Do I have a motion to, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
We vote
Yeah.
to approve. Aye.
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 Alrighty, we're moving on to item number 4, 2025 legislative session. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony in agenda item 4?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I?
No, you can go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, SB 1619 was heard at Friday, February 7th, Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. EO Shanahan provided testimony that the board is in support of the intent of the bill, but had not yet had the opportunity to review the bill as introduced. The bill passed with technical amendments. Carrie, would you like to discuss?
Sure, so this is your licensure compact that we discussed earlier, where you said, yes, we're in support. I do want to bring up a few things so that the board is fully aware and can decide if they want to remain fully in support or if they want to voice any concerns. Firstly, the legislature at the committee voted to pass with amendments. I don't know what those amendments are. They said they were technical in nature. However, if you'll recall, the licensure compact folks said, don't change anything. You're gonna kick yourself out of the compact if you change anything. So the bill as introduced was exactly what we saw with the model legislation. I do not know what the technical changes will be. So I just want to put that out there right away. I did call the compact folks and had a pretty meaningful conversation. There are no rules governing the compact yet. Those rules have to be promulgated and written. They do not know how much the multi-state, the fees for joining the compact will be because they don't know how many states will join it. So we don't know what our cost will be to join that or if our multi-state licensing fees would cover that fee. The assumption is that there would be someone from Hawaii on the commission. They recommend the executive officer. I do not think our administration would welcome that because we really are short-staffed and can barely get through writing our state rules and laws, let alone helping to promulgate national rules and laws for the compact. The other concern, Rico has concerns that there was nothing in the bill to discuss how we would track folks coming into the state under the multi-state licensure. And there's nothing on how we would have to rewrite our rules to discuss multi-state licensure.
For that, if someone if I was to bring in someone to my shop, if they were renting, they would have to get their own license, like their shop license.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's one way of monitoring it, but as an employee, do employers have to register with you folks? That people are on their employee list?
No, only your operators in charge have to be registered with the board.
Okay.
So there was one other thing I was going to bring up that I lost. I forgot what it was. Can you think of what the next thing was, Alex? Oh, yeah, my supervising EO asked about there being no national standards for cosmetologists. There's no one national exam. There's no, all the states do different training. In other compacts that the state is involved in, the standards are very similar for those professions. There's national exams that everyone must take. There's fairly standardized how many hours of training a person must have, certifications they must get, etc. My supervising EO was concerned that within the cosmetology profession, there's different states have very different standards for what adequate training is, and they may or may not take the national exam to get that licensure. So these are the concerns that have been brought before me that I would, if the board is still wildly in support, that's fine. The board can be in support. But I wanted to bring those concerns to you so you could have the opportunity to discuss those concerns and be aware of those and see if you might have something, if you do want to move forward with this, how we could address it, or how we could ask the legislature to address it in our testimony.
I think for me, at the very beginning, you said that there weren't any rules that were really done yet. So in essence, we are in support of something that we don't have. I mean, we don't have anything to really be based off other than this, but you said that there was some adjustments that were made to it as well.
The legislature said they were passing the bill with technical amendments, but we won't know what those are until they post them.
How can we discuss it if we don't have the amendments? I mean, like, how does it help us without the amendments?
This is part of the problem with the legislature. They move very rapidly and the board only meets, every now and then. So that's why I have the legislative liaisons, so that when that is posted, I can reach out to you.
I think for
But
this one, you would just have to assume that the amendments are non-substantive and just technical, because I think that's what they
yeah,
said, yeah.
Technical as in grammar technical, or technical as like what does that mean?
That means, if they're just, I think the whole point is they're not gonna affect the substance.
And so we will not be disqualified from becoming a part of the licensure compact.
So once we see those technical amendments, then I think maybe it might be a good idea to check with the people who are running this to see whether those amendments are problematic or not.
yeah, and that's exactly what we would have to do. Our legislature has amended the model legislation. Please see pages, blah, 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 blah. Are we still good to join if it passes in this format, or have the changes been substantive enough that we would no longer be able to join?
Yeah, if you
That's
have-
up to-
I feel due to our proximity that, we need this, but, with the respect to that, every state has different hours, and Hawaii's got one of the highest. So obviously people coming in who join the compact are going to, not probably have as many hours. I mean, this is just something they're going to have to work out. I didn't see anything as far as minimal hours or anything on the compact,
There are
so I just, pardon me?
So, yeah, there aren't any because there
No,
are
I
no,
didn't.
there's nothing written yet for the compact.
Yes, yes. So from what I understand, these are a lot of little things that need to be worked out, but you know, I don't want perfect to stand in the way of good, you know. I mean, this is something that we need to go forward with, I think, because, you know, we're having a hard time attracting, you know, quality, you know, hairstylists, you know, and cosmetologists to our field. I mean, I'm sure the other fields are having, you know, some of the same problem, you know, due to proximity, and it is a pain in the butt. Does it create certain, you know, things like, I mean, if you know you're moving to Hawaii, you know, wouldn't it behoove you to get like a license somewhere where there's less hours, you know, and then move to the member state? But this is just, it's just what it is, you know? But I still think that the good far outweighs the little things, and we'll have to really kind of see where it lands, because I don't think we have projection to understand all the way it's going to be worked out, you know, all this, you know, semantics, you know, I don't know.
Well, maybe the board can support the intent of the bill and then address and, you know, state your concerns that, you know, there's gaps in the rules. And there's things that still need to be worked out.
Yeah.
And there's no other states that have done this yet, or?
So there are 8 states that have enacted legislation to join the compact. The last I saw, there was at least 2 states besides Hawaii that's bills had been introduced this year. California has already decided they are not joining the compact. They made that decision last legislative session.
Hmm.
So I know Colorado, they're East Coast states, Ohio. I may have that with me. Hold on, please. Yes, I did bring that information. The states in the compact currently are Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, Maryland, Alabama, Colorado, and Arizona. The 2 states besides Hawaii with legislation that I am aware of are New Jersey and Texas.
So nobody on the West Coast so far, besides what
It's
Texas
been
is.
a couple of weeks since I checked the website. Maybe some other states have introduced legislation that I'm not aware of.
I mean, I'm still for it. You know, I mean, even prior to this, there were certain states that had reciprocity as far as licensing goes, you know. But you know, I think, you know, moving towards a more national, you know, type of, you know, situations is just better for our business. I mean, it encourages people to move around more, and every time that happens, the diversity brings a larger skill set, and you know, it's just it opens up doors for us for potential employees. I mean, you know, especially particularly where I work. I mean, when I started there, it was people from like all over the place. You know, Germany. I mean, you know, like England, all over the States. You know, so yeah, it hasn't been like that now, or it's not like that now. But I just think it's a move in the right direction. You know, for business out here. And there's other industries that already have these compacts in place, correct? Isn't the nursing have one, or dentistry or something, huh?
Yes, nursing, I believe, is part of a compact, and medical is becoming part of a compact. And again, those 2 professions have national standards,
Yeah.
national testing to become a nurse or to become a physician. So so I think I'm hearing that the board is still in support of the intent.
I just have one quick little question, and it's
Sure.
it's a legal one. So if somebody is going to school here to become a cosmetologist, and they see someone coming to the state that takes, you know, like half the amount of hours or lesser hours and less money to become a cosmetologist, would they be able to say it's, you know, it's not fair or legal that I should have to have this requirement when other people can practice in the state with this less requirement? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
I
that
don't
that would,
know. Yeah, I don't know if they would have like they could sue anybody on that or a cause of action. But it seems like that would be kind of a loophole that if our requirements are harder than a multi-state requirement, then they could just go to California, get us, or whatever state that is part of the compact, get the cosmetologist license, and then just come here and start practicing. And
there you
then,
go. Well, that's your option.
yeah, so they
That
would
would
have
work.
that, you know, they could do that. So I don't know if that's something the board is concerned with, you know, them having a multi-state requirements are, you know, not substantially the same or a lot less than Hawaii's own requirements.
Well, if they're coming into the state and getting they still have to go through our approval, even though they're a part of the compact, wouldn't they?
No, if we join the compact and they have a multi-state license, they can move to Hawaii and begin work immediately.
Yeah, there's no like application process for them once they get here, unless they want to
Correct.
roll it over to have this be their official state.
I thought it, see, and I wasn't aware of that when we were
Yeah,
going through it, that I thought it just made it easier for them to get their license in Hawaii. Because they were transferring in, hey, put in my application. I'm a part of the, you know, I'm from this area, we're a part of the compact, and then we approve them.
This
No, there's,
license bypasses that.
it does bypass that. So there's a couple of different scenarios here from what I understand speaking to the compact people. What Ashley just said is correct. If a person holds the multi-state license, let's use Ohio, since they're part of the compact, they hold an Ohio license and then they got a multi-state license. If Hawaii was a member of the compact, the person from Ohio could move to Hawaii and get a job immediately because they have the multi-state license. They can use that license while they're here. If they're military, they could use it the whole time they're here, so long as they maintain their Ohio state license in active status. If that person decides that they're no longer in the military and they want to make Hawaii their home state, they could apply for a Hawaii license. And as I understand it, because they hold a multi-state license, they would be on an expedited path. It would just basically be converting their multi-state license to a Hawaii license and then applying for a new multi-state license for other states. So these folks would be able to, I don't want to say bypass our requirements, but bypass our requirements because they already hold the multi-state license. That's how I understand it. But none of these rules have been written.
Is the
So-
compact people are looking at making like the doctors and nurses a national license for just the compact people, the states? So everybody would basically almost be the same, so we don't have to run into this problem?
I don't think the compact is concerned about individual states' requirements because they've said that individual states can keep their own requirements. So they're not looking at nationalizing cosmetology training.
So does this mean when we, like, if now my license, when we get it from you folks, every time we renew, is there gonna be something about, or for cosmetologists, will it be compact? Will there be something to indicate that we are part of the compact?
So we would have to determine that, but they would, at the time a person renews their state license, wherever their home license is, whether it's here in Hawaii or in Ohio, at that time, if they also hold a multi-state license and they wish to keep that multi-state license, they would have to renew the multi-state license as well as their home state license. Because the multi-state license is issued by the state that holds your home license, so you'd be renewing 2 licenses at
So
renewal.
So if I was renewing, say I was a cosmetologist, I'm renewing here, I'm renewing for the compact and my state license?
Yes, if Hawaii is your home state, yes.
So I would have 2 separate licenses,
Yes,
and we have no idea yet what the compact fee will be.
correct, correct.
So just because you're a part, you get your license in Arizona doesn't mean you are eligible to work here unless you purchase the compact license.
Right, unless you apply for and are given the compact license, the multi-state license.
So that is something that we would have to let salon owners know, that if they're coming in, they need to have the compact license, not just their Arizona license or just their Iowa license.
That is how I understand it.
And then if I'm sorry, and my brain's going into what ifs. If I hire somebody from Arizona and they don't have the compact, who's fined, me or them?
Shop owner.
That's-
Because the way our rules are written is the shop is responsible for what happens in the shop.
But if they are an independent, or if they were independent, then they'd have to get the shop license themselves. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you required to get the compact, or you can just say, I want only the state of Hawaii and not the multiple because of the additional fees?
There would be no requirement that you get a multi-state or compact license.
Whew. So then that then becomes on the salon owner's responsibility to whether you hire them, if they're good or not. If they're good, then you hire them, and if they're not, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the normal course of action anyway, right?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So my concern was, some places just hire. Oh, you do hair? Let's go. Put you in a chair. But I'm not like that, but there are places that are. So it would be, and which I think is good. It's the salon owner's responsibility to make sure they know that. Okay.
So if this did pass, say it did pass and we voted the state of Hawaii voted to become part of the compact, all that would happen this year is that we voted to become part of the compact. There would be no multi-state license yet. There would be no, I can go work in Ohio or Arizona yet, because those licenses are not ready, because there's no rules governing those licenses yet.
Okay.
So it'd still be several years, at least a year and a half down the road before that happens.
So who's writing, excuse me, who's writing those rules?
So that's the fun part that comes in. The commission, if you read the legislature, there's a commission, a compact commission. The way I understand it is that is someone from each member state, usually a staff member, not a board member, from each member state are commission members. Those are the people who will be writing the rules. So if Hawaii joined, they would expect someone from Hawaii's DCCA to go and help write rules.
I think they meet like once a year, right? It's not
They said
constant.
they would meet
meetings.
at least once a year, but if they're
At least
writing
once a year.
rules, if they're writing rules take a
Yeah,
lot
they-
more than once a year. That's the first year or two, they're going to be meeting much more frequently than once a year.
Well, they're all things that have to be worked out. I mean, we could spin on like all the details are just, we can see how, things play out a bit. I mean, it's been passed, right?
Well, it moved through its first committee meeting with amendments, and we don't know what those amendments are. What the board could do is we support the intent of this and we want to move forward. You could do, we support the intent, but we'd like to see the rules that the commission's gonna write before we join. You could, I mean, which might be a good thing to do, because you don't know what those rules are going to say, right? We vote to join something, but we don't know how it's going to be.
I would like to have the option to join, but not committing to join at the moment. Does that make sense? Because I do want to know what the rules will be. And
Yeah, I think there needs to be another discussion after we see that.
I mean, if putting us there, are we allowed to remove ourselves at any point? If we go on to the compact, like say we do it in the first year, it's just horrible. Can we remove ourselves from that?
Well, we'd have to go back through the legislation, because the legislature we're joining through legislative action. So if we join and we decide we don't like it, we have to go through legislative action to unjoin? Would that be correct, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to look more carefully at that to answer that question.
Because this would be law.
Yes, but just because it's law doesn't mean we have to hire people who,
Yeah.
come in with that.
Yeah.
So, so ultimately we have control over this. It's no one's going to be charged any fees who's not actively participating in the compact. From what I understand, the fees are going to be, taken out from people who, want to, employ it, want to get licensed in another state, I would imagine it's gonna, generate some revenue, the fees, but it doesn't appear that it's gonna be something that we have to pay just because we're a member state. From what I've read, that I'm pretty sure that's how it is. If nothing's coming from a particular state so far as money goes, so I don't know. I mean, I agree with the intent to do it,
Yeah.
So do I.
What do we do at this point?
Well, so I need clear direction on how to write testimony for you. So I'm hearing that you are in full support of the intent of the compact.
Well, you want to see the
You-
rules.
But
Yeah.
but you have concerns about joining a compact for which there are no rules currently in place.
Well,
For me, I'm thinking what is going to benefit our people here in
In our
Hawaii.
community, yeah.
Yes. So if I got kids going to school and then they want to go to these other states, great. If it's only benefiting those coming into our state, I want it to work both ways. Because those states that are like, if California was in it, I'd be on board in a second. But California's not in on it. None of the big cities that these young kids that would be traveling to go are on it. And even if it was military kids or military families, I know there's a lot of the places that said yes. It is, I'm worried that Hawaii will not benefit. Hawaii will benefit that those coming in, it will be easier. As a salon owner, yes, I'm grateful if it's easier to get people to come and work in the state, but I also want it to benefit those who have to move and work in another state.
Well, it works both ways. What is your concern about somebody going to another state?
That it's not a state that's like, is Las Vegas a part of it?
A non-member state.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
I got
enough
you. I got
states
you.
are a part
Yeah,
of the
I got you.
compact.
Yeah. You're wishing there was more member states.
Yeah, if it was
I
New
got you.
York, even Florida or Texas and California, Oregon, Vegas, those places that most of our local people are moving to, it would benefit us. But if it's only benefiting those smaller community, like those other states coming into our, I think it's a good idea. I think it is a good idea, but I want it to benefit both sides. So that's where the rules would be. I mean, if they could get more places to sign up for it, that would be better.
Yeah, I wonder where we're at with that. I mean, are there any other, there has to be other states. I mean, we had a couple decline and we had a few, we have like some to join, but you know.
Give me just a moment and I'll see if I can pull up their most recent map. Although, there we go. So there's legislation currently here in Hawaii, Oregon, no wait, not Oregon, Washington. The states aren't labeled, I have to go from memory. Texas,
Okay.
Kansas, Nebraska, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say Connecticut. I think that's what that state is.
So they're
Are
in
they-
legislation whether or not to be a part of it.
Yeah, they have active legislation such as we do.
Yeah, well, you know, to be
Oh, I'm
selfish
sorry,
about
not
this.
Connecticut, Massachusetts, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know, to be selfish about this, I mean, you know, I think that there's less member states, you know, might not behoove people who are licensed here who want to go, but us as a state, I think it's good for us because, you know, we're losing people, you know? And I think if there's less options, there's less chance of losing people. I mean, if I'm thinking about, you know, us as a state and as an industry, you know, I mean, we have a hell of a time holding on to people. And people are constantly moving off, and we know we do have that issue. People are leaving.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is we're still in support of the intent. There are concerns about the lack of rules that have been promulgated. And do you want to say the few number of member states? We're concerned that there's not very many
Well-
states currently.
Well, the fact that Washington, Texas, New York, those three are on there, it makes it a little bit better. But we don't know whether they're on the
Yeah,
side
we
of
don't know if
going
it'll
with them or
pass
not.
Yeah, we don't know if they're on board with it or not, so. Yeah, I don't have a feel for any of those states to tell you if I think they join. I'm pretty sure Texas will probably join, but the other states I don't have a feel for.
Well, we really can't do anything at this point because it's in legislation. Now, unless we go down there and say we don't want it. And I don't know if we want to do that.
Yeah,
I don't
so
wanna- I don't want to say that we don't want it. It's not that we don't want it. We do want it, but we want to know what we're getting into specifically. I mean, we
Well-
know what the idea is, and I know it's on the owners of the shops to hire these people, which is good, but you know, I don't know. There's something, I don't know why there's something that's I have hesitation towards it now, but I
I
do.
think it's because of the fact that they also haven't written the rules yet, but they want us to make a decision on taking a stance on it, which again, we said that we support it, but we want to see what the substance
So-
behind this thought.
Yes, can I ask what rules like we're concerned about? Because, I've read through the compact a couple times because it was pretty lengthy. It seemed pretty comprehensive. It covers employment compensation, lawyers, liability,
There's been
you know.
amendments though
Oh,
to
the
it
amendments,
that
okay.
we
So not the
haven't.
rules, it's the amendments that we're
But,
concerned about.
Yeah.
but the insurance liability, all that stuff is for the compact commission. It's not
Yes.
about how the licensees will be governed.
Oh, yeah, they say that. They say you still retain, a certain amount of responsibility for the person if there's any kind of actions that they, anything they do illegal, the home state still has like authority over it. As does the member state. Actually, there's a bunch of sections on that in here. I'm doing this from memory. I haven't looked at this again. I probably should have.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct. I guess my concern is that it's,
Yeah, there's a whole section, Article 12, oversight, dispute resolution, and enforcement. Page 46. So I don't know. So the question is just the amendments that we don't know. That's all.
okay,
I
so,
for sure want to know what I'm saying yes to, if there were changes made that we haven't physically seen yet in
sure.
front of us.
I agree with you.
So what happens is it's a very fast turnaround. So that's why we have legislative liaisons that we appointed at our last meeting. When they're ready to schedule another hearing at the next committee meeting, and I'm not certain which committee it goes to next, they will post a draft one, a D1 of this bill. At that time, I can reach out to Raynette and Michael. Those are my legislative committee, I think.
Yes.
And say, hey, here's the new version. Here's where the changes were made. Are we still in support, just concerned that there's no rules written, or you feel like there's been too much of an issue? I would also reach out to the compact and say, hey, they've made these changes. Is this going to affect our ability to join the compact?
That to me is the first.
Because I usually have to submit testimony either later that same day or within the following day. I mean, it's very fast turnaround, so.
To me, the first thing after you find out the amendments is to find out from the compact, does it 86 us from the program already? Because then we don't even have to worry about it. If it doesn't, then Michael and I would be your next step.
Okay.
Right?
So-
because if it doesn't affect us, then Michael and I would have to respond to you. But if they tell you, oh no, you guys are out now that you made those changes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. We're not really making changes, are we? We're just agreeing or not?
No,
agreeing
not
to
us.
be in
The
a
legislature made amendments to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that if the legislature's amendments just make us not non-eligible anymore, then that's what it is. It's not our choice.
Is there a possibility of that?
They don't think so, but that's all we need to know.
Yeah. So in the interest of time, because we could talk about this all day. I think my direction from the board, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the board is in support of the intent of this bill. The board does have some concerns that the compact has not promulgated its rules yet, and that still needs to be done. However, we're going to wait for the draft one to come out. I will contact the compact immediately and say, hey, here's the changes that our ledge has made. Are we still good to go with this? And then I would reach out to Michael and Raynette based on that to see if there's anything that we need to change our testimony.
Sounds good to me.
Does that sound, okay, good. Shall we move on then?
Okie dokie. Now on to item 4, section B. SB 1620 was heard on Friday, February 7th, Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. EO Shahan provided testimony that the board does not currently require natural hair braiders to be licensed if they do not provide any other hairdressing services, and that the board had not yet had the opportunity to discuss the bill. The bill passed without amendments. Carrie?
Yeah, so I gave you all a copy of 1620. It is, would put into our statute that natural hair braiders are exempt from licensure. Right now, we just tell them that because we don't have training or testing for natural braiding. So we tell them if all you're doing is natural braiding, you're not styling, well, you know, curling and all the other things that are part of hairdressing, you don't need a license. This would make that official and not just a board determination. I don't see anything that would concern me too much. I don't know if you have issues with the braiding devices they list. They include, this is page 3, starting on line 14. Braiding devices means clips, combs, crochet hooks, curlers, curling irons, hairpins, rollers, scissors, blunt tip needles, threads, or hair binders. I don't know if curling irons provides any concern to you for hairdressing. And then the other thing, where did I see the other one? Hair braiding also includes on page 4, starting at line 9. This is part of the definition of natural hair braiding. Natural hair braiding includes, number 4, the use of topical agents, including conditioners, gels, moisturizers, oils, pomades, and shampoos in conjunction with performance and practices described. Cleansing the hair is part of the definition of hairdressers, so I don't know if that's of concern. And then the only other thing I had concern with is that it says that natural hair braiders can have shops, but it doesn't say who is, if like the Department of Health would check for sanitation or whom. So those are the 3 things I noticed. Does the board have any problem legislating that natural hair braiders are exempt from licensure? That's the first big question. And then if you have any comments on safety or concerns with the other items I brought up.
I don't think they need to have a license as long as they are not doing like what it says, does not include application of dye, you know, reactive chemicals and other preparations too. I don't see any, because these would be the rules for what the definition of a natural hair braider is.
Correct. This would be the rules. This would define a natural hair braider.
Ashley, did you have?
No, I mean, this looks pretty good to me. Even with that area of natural hair braiding does not include. I mean, I don't think they should be doing chemicals or dyes.
I understand why they put it in there, because I know when people come in with different color, hair to put into their hair and braid it in. They want the rest of their hair to match. So,
Match.
but that is not what a hair braider would be qualified to do unless they were a cosmetologist.
But are they coloring the hair that they're bringing in or their client's hair? So would it be okay to color the hair of the extension that they're bringing in?
If it's not on a human, that's not on our scope, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Like extensions, like synthetic or natural hair extensions you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Right.
would,
there's nothing in our statute that regulates dyeing hair extensions.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this looks good.
Does Rico would, like, it's gonna be done at where? And if it's done at a shop, who is responsible if they see this happening? Or does Rico inspects shops for these? Like doing something wrong.
A lot of RICO is complaint based. So, if they go to a hair braiding shop and then they're seeing like things that run into cosmetology and make a complaint, then that could go to RICO. But yeah, a lot of RICO on what they take action is complaint based.
so a hair braiding shop does not need a license.
Other than a brand registration, there's nothing in here that mentions what they would need. So we wouldn't be licensing their shops because in order for us to license the shop, you need a license.
Cosmetologist.
Somebody needs to be a licensed cosmetologist. Let me restate that. Somebody needs to be a licensed beauty operator or barber to run a beauty or barber shop.
Okay.
So a natural hair braiding shop would not be covered through our board. Now, I don't see anything in here that would exclude a licensed shop from having natural hair braiding done in it.
No, I don't think that.
I don't, because that's something that's not addressed. I don't think that would exclude that. But if someone were a natural hair braider and wanted to open a shop, the only thing I'm seeing in here is that they need to register with Breg.
Then I'd be okay with that.
So the board is in support of this bill? You
Yes.
there's no concern for public safety or anything like that, because they're not doing anything that would harm anyone really, based
No.
on this definition. Okay,
Do you want the board to be voting on each of these positions?
I thought we'd vote at the end,
That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, so moving on.
Yes,
Okay, so SB 1621 was heard on Friday, February 7th, Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. EO Shahan provided testimony that separate licensure is already required for nail technicians, and the board has not yet had the opportunity to discuss the bill. The committee recommended that the nail technicians be exempt from licensure. Carrie?
yeah, so that happened. I'm not certain why they thought that a nail technician had to go through all of the training that a cosmetologist would have to go through, other than perhaps they didn't, I don't know why. We'll leave it at that. So I did go and I said, we already have the separate licensure, so there's really nothing to change. And when they came out of recess, they voted to exempt, that they're gonna recommend exempting nail technicians from licensure. So I thought our first order of business would be, what is the protection of the public by licensing nail techs? Raynette, you might have something to say about that. I don't know.
Oh my God, they want to get rid of the nail tech license?
Yes.
No. That's
So-
a hard no. Because have you not seen on the news where unqualified, unlicensed people are using tools that aren't supposed to be there. And then women have fungus and lose a toe, lose a finger. Like, even in hairdressing, you don't lose your head. People have lost limbs from
Not usually.
unqualified nail technicians. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, nail technician to me is super important. Can you tell I'm a nail tech?
So what we need to do is, I'm hearing that the board opposes this, opposes exempting nail techs from licensure. Again, I don't have they didn't put anything up for me to see off of their last, so you would oppose deregulating nail technicians. And what are the safety reasons? Let's enumerate those, please.
Safety
Oh,
reasons
geez.
Yeah.
is, oh my gosh, you can get infections with the tools that we use for nail technicians.
Okay,
Injury,
so infection is highly probable if.
Yes, and
if-
injury, people, the nail techs use those cheese graters on the bottom of their feet, which I do not agree with, but it's not a rule. So, but you can cut off people's layers of skin below the epidermis. Like,
if
it
not
is
properly trained.
improperly trained.
Skin and I'm trying to write.
Which will cause an infection if tools are not sanitized correctly.
unregulated sanitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unregulated sanitation.
Who introduced this? Was this like, I can't
Yeah,
read
I'm
that
curious.
last name or that name.
Senator Kim.
What's the first?
It's the
Yeah,
same one
and I
that
don't-
went for the compact.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Why? Because, you know, usually with these, they have some sort of why. on
Yeah,
the, And
Yeah, I don't know.
there's no why here.
Yeah, well, so the bill itself was just to have a separate license for nail techs, which we already do, but that was what the bill was for. But after they discussed it in recess, they recommended exempting nail technicians, so, unregulated sanitation, the tools, unregulated use of, how would I?
unregulated sanitation.
Yeah, so I got that, but what you said, some of the tools could be.
Possibility of injury,
Yeah,
infection.
possibility of injury.
With
Or,
proper
tools.
knowledge of skin conditions or nail conditions.
Transmitting diseases.
Transmitting diseases. Everybody gonna have green toes walking around if you don't regulate this.
Serious safety hazards.
Consumer safety.
You can even get hepatitis from tools
oh my God.
that people don't sanitize.
Is there, a study or an authority we could put into our testimony that I could refer them to, or?
The fact that they teach it in cosmetology, right, that like it is a portion of cosmetology.
Right, right.
I
So-
wonder how
so
many
if
states.
this actually happened, we would have to rewrite everything, so.
Wait, if
Yeah, so if nails were deregulated, it would come out of cosmetology as well.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And all that lost revenue for the state as well.
Yeah,
Well,
why?
Well, our revenue is not a concern of this board, so we don't.
I got you.
We need to discuss the safety of the public.
It is
And-
not safe to deregulate the license of a nail technician. And if I need to go testify, I will go testify on this one. I am very adamant about this situation.
Well, when I write the testimony, I always use you as the chair. So if you want to come and testify, I will let you know when this one comes back up.
For this one, I will get
Okay.
ready and come down there.
Okay, you can come in person, or if you can't make it, we can set it up so you can testify via Zoom, but if you want to come down, it's always helpful.
Okay.
Okay, so, I'm looking at this here. I just had to Google. I couldn't help myself. It said that Connecticut is currently the only state in the US that does not license nail technicians. I mean, that says something, doesn't it?
There have been too many cases of people getting infections from nail salons because it's improper use of tools and inadequate training. Because a lot of the places that are causing these infections are using unlicensed people to be apprentices, and some of them are not licensed apprentices. And they're just thrown into a chair and told, follow your neighbor, do what they do. So, and that's when these infections, and because they don't know about the different layers of the skin, they don't know that an ingrown toenail should not be taken care of by your nail technician. It should be taken care of by a doctor. Even very long time people that I've known who are licensed do ingrown toenails. I don't, because it's not hygienically allowed.
Okay, so I'm hearing very strong opposed
Yes.
regulation. Okay.
Yes.
I'm reading this bill 1621 at the beginning, and it's not they want to take away the license. They want the nail technician. It says they want a separate license for nail technician.
But
Not
Yes,
away.
and that's what the testimony that I gave before was about, that we have a separate license. And then the committee went into recess, and when they came out to vote on the bills, they said that they were going to exempt nail technicians from licensure.
But it doesn't say that here, right?
It doesn't say that in the bill, but that's what the committee said when they
Oh,
voted
my
on the
goodness,
bill.
yeah.
So they're
Okay,
changing
okay.
the entire intent.
They should just leave this bill alone, the way
Well,
it's written.
The bill should not have been introduced. There's already separate licensure.
Right.
So, okay, so when we get ready to vote on this one, we're gonna say strongly opposed due to safety and sanitary reasons, and we'll work on drafting that with my legislative liaisons. Because again, this is another one we could talk about all day, yeah?
yes, you could. At least I could.
Okay,
So for A, am I supposed to explain each one when we vote, or this is just for your notes?
when we vote, we want to say for SB 1690, the board supports the intent. For SB 1620, the board is in full support.
Okay, full support.
That was the hair braider one.
Yeah. And then
for SB 1621, nail techs, the board is vehemently opposed. You don't have to say that.
adamantly opposed.
The board said, hell no.
And then that brings us up to 4D.
Okay.
Chair.
So 4D is
4D and 4E are the Senate and House bills on the same matter. They're sister bills.
okay. So the pertinent section of SB 1373 is Section 4, starting on page 7. E.O. Shehan provided testimony on February 4th, Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection, stating that while the board has not had the opportunity to discuss the board in the past, the board has been supportive of the measure that protects the public interest and welfare. The bill was passed with amendments, and then Carrie.
Yes, so these bills, SB 1373 and the House Bill 1054, are companion bills. The wording is almost exactly the same, except, you know, one says House, one says Senate. This is a bill that would authorize this board as well as several other boards that if someone is convicted and found to be a sex offender, that their license could be revoked immediately. Or we could deny their application to renew, restore, or reinstate without having to go through the administrative process, that the board could pull that license immediately. And then the person could, at a later date, ask the board to reconsider, say, hey, but you have incorrect information, or yeah, but look at me, I'm a nice person. So currently, right now, if someone were convicted and found to be a sex offender and they had a license, we would still have to renew that license until they went through the administrative process of having us be able to take their license away. Barbering and cosmetology were included in this bill because some of our licensees are, you know, we have some fairly intimate procedures that our licensees can do, and several times these procedures take place behind in a separate room or behind partitions, and so we were included in this this bill so that we can remove those licenses in the rare, hopefully rare, and times this happens. So we just need to know if the board supports this or if you have concerns, if you oppose it.
I support it.
I support it as
support it.
well.
I support it.
Same.
Just want to say we're in full support, or do you have any concerns, or are we okay?
I do have a quick question. If we are in support, what happens is hairdresser A is found guilty, when it will be in public, like, will you folks be alerted to this right away? How do you find out about it?
Well, that's a good question. When we find out about, usually something like that is in the news. And Civil Beat is really quick to let us know that one of our licensees has done something bad. But yeah, like any crime, folks are supposed to self-disclose when they renew. Hopefully we find out, right?
Okay,
And
and
Yeah,
then you
there has
folks
to
take,
be.
DCCA takes care of that, not like that automatic. You guys will take care of it. The only time the board would see anything from this is if the person comes to contest not being licensed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
figuring out like the procedure, that's something that might need to be worked out by the DCCA on whether once the person has to go in a sex offender registry and then they're subject to automatic revocation, the exact procedure that needs to be fleshed out.
Yeah, it'll be a mechanism, I'm sure. But they have 15 days to file like an exception, but you know, from what I understand with this bill, it's like our hands will be tied anyway, unless
Yeah.
they can show some sort of you know, they were found not guilty, but you know, barring that, you know, it's a kind of a moot point at that time.
Right.
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so we're all in full support?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the same for HB 1054, because they're the same,
Okay,
it's almost word for word.
okay,
So that's all of those chairs. So if you want to go ahead and make a motion on those bills.
so I make a motion that the board is in support of intent with SB 1619. We are in full support of SB 1620. We adamantly oppose SB 1621. And we are in full support of SB 1373 and HB 1054. Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay, can we vote yay to this item?
Yeah.
Yay. Okie dokie.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Now, on to old news. Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on agenda item 5?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
The board tabled this item at its November 19th, 2024 meeting to allow HCC time to gather information such as what identification would the students have? How is the board being notified that there are X number of students in shops? How will the board know that students have not been asked to perform services unlicensed practice by the shop owner? How are students identified by both the public and RICO? How will the hours be recorded on the students' transcripts, shop management unassigned? And discussion. And what do we have to discuss?
So, did we ask for, I'm sorry, I was talking to our DHE, I apologize. Was there anyone that wanted to, provide testimony?
He said no.
Oh, okay. So, Honolulu Community College was going to, provide us some information. I see that, Ms. Ikea is here from Honolulu Community College. Can you please unmute, Ms. Aki, and let me know if you are able to chat with the board?
Hello,
Yes, hi, we hear you.
hi.
Hi.
Yes, I am able to chat with the board. I know I did send information. There's a couple of things. One is that the student could be identified with a name badge, but it would have to say Honolulu Community College Cosmetology student. Unfortunately, we could not put their name on the badge because of FERPA laws. Because they are a student in college. And the FERPA laws that we have to follow is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy of Students laws. That's a federal law.
Mm-hmm.
The only way we could have the student put the name on the badge is the student would have to give permission.
Okay.
But as a college, we cannot release any of our students' names, whether they attend and grades and et cetera, because it is protected by federal laws.
Okay.
Okay, but we do have badges that do say Honolulu Community College Cosmetology students. And that would be part of their uniform for that situation. The other thing is we would have to have the student sign a release form to release their name, but we could do that as a part of the prerequisite if they wanted to do the program, to release their name to the board so that the board would know who was the student going on to this program. We do not foresee any more than 10 students at any semester, to be honest with you, because of our very strict prerequisites, which means that they have to have almost perfect attendance for 2.5 semesters. That's first. The second is they have to have a B or above average academically. And I will tell you, the lowest grade they can receive without failing in our program is a 76. We make it one percentage higher than the board. But so, like I said, we do not foresee flooding salons with our students. It's going to be a either or. So They are at maximum credits. Our students take 18 credits per semester. So it's going to be either they take 1 credit of salon management where they sit in the classroom with lecture and so forth, or they have this 1 credit in the salon. Now, what is 1 credit? If it's a lab, it's 45 hours. That's all we're talking about. 45 hours in the salon. The rest of the time, it's here at school. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I want to make sure that we understand properly. Due to HERPA law, the name badges would be Honolulu Community College cosmetology student, but
That's
not,
correct.
not the name. You would have them sign a release as a prerequisite for the program, so you could provide those 5 to 10 names each semester to the board, so the board would know who they were going out into the shops.
That's
But-
correct.
But that release would not cover their name badge as well. It would just be for the board.
Yes, because of, again, FERPA laws.
Okay, okay, I understand that part. It would be seniors only that
Yes,
B or above and almost perfect attendance. It would be only 45 hours in the shop.
that's correct.
Okay. Have you had the chance to determine how those hours would be recorded on the transcript? Would it be a separate
There's a separate
course,
form.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. There is a separate form in the packet.
Uh-huh.
And it's a part of the student documents and the salon owner documents. The salon owner has to sign off
Right.
hours as well. Then they have to turn it in to us. If we don't have the documents, if they don't fulfill those things, we don't give them credit for those hours.
Okay.
Pure and simple. So they have the responsibility to take care of that as well.
Right. So my concern, maybe I didn't format my question very good. So when your students graduate and they apply for licensure, we get a copy of their transcript that shows their hours.
Right.
When we get that transcript and they've done one of these interns or work studies, how is it going to be a separate line on the transcript, or is it going to be rolled over into unassigned hours, or is it going to be shop management hours? I'm thinking ahead towards when we start getting, if this is approved, when we start getting those applications, how we would, so I can tell my staff what that's going to look like and how we should.
Okay. Generally, we would just roll it into the regular transcript. There would really not be a separate identification of 45 hours.
Okay, and where would you put
But-
those hours? If the person, if one of your seniors did the work study, where, and you're gonna roll it into their transcript, would you roll it into their unassigned hours, or where would you roll it into?
More than likely, it will be an unassigned because it'll be more self-study.
Okay,
Okay,
Okay.
but the assignments themselves will consist of they have to do an essay, they have to log and journal what type of salon are they working in, a single proprietary, a partnership, a corporation, or a franchise. They have to note various other things so that it's also part of salon business and management. So it's not like they get to go there and sit all day.
sure, we understand that. Any board member questions?
I
have none.
don't have any.
I have one little comment off topic, if I could, if you could indulge me.
Make the comment and then we'll see if we can discuss it now, or if we postpone it.
Well, the comment is that I wrote a bunch of testimony and our chancellor was going to go to legislature about the hair braiders because of the same reason for the nail techs.
Oh,
There's
okay.
traction alopecia and all kinds of diseases and sanitation issues. So, but that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. My DAG asked us to not make a final determination on this at this meeting because he does need to go back and finish reading through our statutes to make sure that should we approve this, we're not tangling ourselves up in what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. So we are going to table this until our next meeting, at which time our DAG will have had time to finish his research. Board members, do you have any concerns about moving forward with this if our statutes allow us to move forward with this? That I should ask the DAG to look at?
I have no
No.
concerns.
Okay,
I
all right.
don't.
So our next meeting, Ms. Saki, is scheduled for
May 13th.
May, and I know that cuts it very sharp for you, if we vote to approve this. But we appreciate all your hard work in getting this information to us. We appreciate the school's dedication to cosmetology in our state. And we want to make sure that we are doing right by our students before we make a final determination. So we will bring this back on in the May meeting after our DAG has had a chance to make sure that if we move forward, we aren't violating any of our own statutes, okay?
I appreciate that and thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? Could just because I know that's pretty close for May, could the board vote that if the AG says we're good, that you guys can just approve it upon our approval today? Or do we have to wait for his before we vote at all?
I think that if the board is comfortable and feels that they want to move forward with this, if our statutes allow for it, I think you can say that you are voting to approve the program, the work-study program, Honolulu Community College work-study program, pending DAG review.
Pending DAG review.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I motion to approve pending DAG review, can I get a second?
Second.
Can we vote on it? Aye.
Aye.
I
There's no nays. So are we good, Carrie?
Yeah, that's fine. That's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
let you know as soon as we know, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so on to the next section, executive report, agenda item 6. So for this, the results of the examination. Carrie?
Yes, thank you, Chair. These are the results of the Barber Cause.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does anybody have testimony for item agenda 6?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have anyone requesting to provide testimony.
Okay,
Oh, Chair,
so I'm
you are
so
good.
sorry, Carrie. Now your turn.
That's okay, you're so good. I didn't even catch that. Wow. These are the results of the exams from December 2024. Barbers, number of candidates examined 10, number of candidates passed 5, number of candidates failed 5. Cosmetology, number of candidates examined 13, number of candidates passed 4, number of candidates failed 9. Estheticians, number of candidates examined 35, number of candidates passed 11, and number of candidates failed 24. Hairdressers, number of candidates examined 3, number of candidates passed 2, and number of candidates failed 1. Instructors, number of candidates examined 1, number of candidates passed 1. Nail technicians, number of candidates examined 16, number of candidates passed 5, number of candidates failed 11. And for January 2025, number of barbers examined 13, numbers passed 7, numbers failed 6. Cosmetologist, number examined 16, number passed 6, numbers failed 10. Estheticians, number examined 38, numbers passed 21, numbers failed 17. Hairdressers, total exams 5, passed 2, failed 3. There were no instructor exams, and the number of nail technician exams were 17, number passed 8, and numbers failed 9. Your report, Chair.
Okay. Wait, so I'm going on to B? Or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's any questions on the test.
No, not at all. So the request for conditions to be removed by Amber Ledesma Quinata. She has requested that to remove her conditions on her license. And she has completed the conditions on the license, and I motion to approve her request. Can I get a second?
Second. Second.
Okay.
Michael Boston.
Let's vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Oh, Les, you're muted.
Aye.
Okie dokie. On to item C, beauty barbershops operators in charge. Discussion.
Chair,
Yes.
PAG has asked me to table this item because I wrote the wrong chapter on the
Okay.
agenda. So, and he's also gone because he had to go to the legislature. So can we please table agenda item 6C?
Okie dokie. So on to item 7. Next meeting will be May 13th, 2025 at 12 o'clock. And our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, just to let you folks know, my name is spelled wrong.
Oh, that was my fault.
But then, you know, it's in, I noticed that it's an off and on thing. Sometimes you spell correctly, sometimes you spelled wrong.